all-knowing and all-powerful, starting with the elderly wolf uncle. Chapter 42. Bruce didn't say the words from the bottom of his heart, just pondered silently, and at the same time invited Chen Tian. It's late at night, if you don't mind. You can go to my manor for the time being at night. Prepare what you want, and you can also give it to you as soon as possible. Quote. Thanks, but I'm not interested in going home with a man. Chen Tian teased. In fact, he plans to return to the Marvel Universe and come back to sleep again. In that case, then I have no problem. Bruce saw that he refused and did not force it. Toot toot. At this time, his mobile phone suddenly rang, and there was an urgent voice on the other end of the answer, accompanied by crying. With his super 5 senses, Chen Tian could tell that the person who was calling was Harvey, Dante's sister, Jessica. Speaking of which, the other party is still Bruce's once beloved lover. It's a pity that since the latter decided to become the Dark Knight, he took the initiative to break off the relationship without implicating the other party. What? Something happened to Dent? Jessica, calm down, I'll go right over now. Bruce put down the phone and his expression became solemn. Damn it, Harvey. Dante's car was actually planted by the Riddler in advance, and although he was not in the car when it exploded, he was still badly burned. Quote. I have to go over. I will prepare the things you want before 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. You can wait for me here. The words were just finished. Bruce turned around eagerly and jumped downstairs and disappeared into the darkness. The Riddler's hand is really unexpected. Chen Tian looked at the black back that quickly disappeared in the night, and his eyes flickered slightly. According to today's situation, two-faced people will most likely be online soon. In that case, the guy who represents chaos and madness, the clown, will soon appear too. The thoughts go on here. Chen Tian raised his head and opened his eyes all the way, as if he could see the entire city that exuded an oppressive aura. It seems that Gotham City is going to become more and more interesting. He muttered. ... After Chen Tian solved many troubles, he also rarely slept peacefully. Plus there is anticipation in the heart. The next day, when Chen Tian came to DC Gotham again at the appointed time, he only felt that he was in good spirits. And Bruce in a batsuit. Wayne had been waiting there earlier. He didn't seem to have rested all night, and standing there wearing a mask revealed an unconcealable tired temperament. I have prepared what you want. As long as you don't do something out of line to provoke the FBI to investigate you, there will be no problem with this identity at all. Bruce handed Chen Tian an identity file and admission notice according to the agreement. After the latter was sure that there was no problem, he didn't stop much and left in a hurry. It seems that Dante's death also had a great impact on him. After all, the other party's sister is Bruce's once beloved lover. And according to Chen Tian's understanding of him, it is clear that Bruce actually thought about Harvey, who was full of a sense of justice. Dent becomes the new mayor and can really start to change Gotham City and become a knight of light who can walk in the sun. Then he, the Dark Knight, may choose to retire. Unfortunately, in the end, such an undesirable thing happened. Life is like a play. There are always too many waves and accidents, pushing us step by step to have to move forward. Thinking of this, Chen Tian sighed and shook his head. He didn't stop much and got on the bus to the metropolis. Soon, Chen Tian came to the metropolis. There are many tall buildings, and the deep space is no longer gloomy and dark, but the clear sky is cloudless. He followed the flow of people out of the station, looked at the city in front of him with a completely different style from Gotham, and squinted his eyes slightly. The crime rate in this city is nowhere near as high as Gotham's, but this future is about to see a powerful enough existence to change the pattern of this world. The god of the world. Superman. And this is Chen Tian's goal this time. Chapter 51, Superman Clark, the god of the world. One person overturns a group of people. Metropolis. Although the city's crime rate is not as good as Gotham, it is definitely the most well-known city in the DC universe. Where the first superhero in history was born and one of the important cities of the United States of America, and its historical status is far inferior to the New York City of the Marvel Universe. The place where many big events took place. But at this time, Superman has not yet been born. At this moment, the sky has just brightened. Apartments near Metropolitan University. A cramped room. Jingle bells one by one, the alarm time is set at 6:30 in the brain, making a crisp sound, echoing 0 o'clock in the room. Kent woke up, rubbed his eyes and got out of bed, not knowing what he was thinking, sitting on the edge of the bed but keeping his eyes closed. He noticed that something was getting wrong with his body, seemingly as he grew older. Since he was a child, he has had abnormalities in his body, and sometimes everything will begin to become transparent if he hits his attention a little. Sometimes, he was even able to see through the bodies of others that they were wrapped in flesh and blood. This also made Clark Kent cause great psychological damage since he was a child, but he did not dare to mention it to others, for fear that the other party would think that he had a mental problem. And, recently, he noticed that his hearing has also become better, and he can hear the whispers of others hundreds of meters away. He even experimented with how he could hear someone exercising a few blocks away with complete concentration. Alas, at the thought of this, Clark Kent couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. In fact, he had gone to the hospital for a medical examination, and the results showed that he was completely fine. Of course, in the process of physical examination, there was also an episode. That's when the hospital nurse was giving Clark. When Kent took blood, he found that the needle could not pierce the latter's blood vessels, and the skin on his arm was as tough as cowhide. Kent took matters into his own hands and barely completed the blood collection. I don't know if such a change is good or bad. Kent sat on the edge of the bed and pondered for a long time, only then was he ready to slowly open his eyes. He stood up and walked to the window, looking at the gradually rising sun. Feeling the sun shining on his body, there was always an inexplicable comfort. From childhood to big Clark, one of Kent's favorite things to do is to bathe himself in the sun, which makes him extremely relaxed. After a slight look, Kent then rubbed his head and turned to go to the bathroom to wash. Then I went to the kitchen, fried an egg to heat 2 slices of bread, got a glass of milk, and prepared myself a simple breakfast. After coming from his farm home to Metropolis to prepare for college, he has been taking care of himself. Right here in Clark, Kent ate his breakfast and slowly came out of his mind. All kinds of voices around him suddenly flooded into his mind like a tide. Feeling the huge amount of information squeezed into his mind in one breath, he was so frightened that he quickly concentrated and controlled his hearing. I have other uses for this last room. I don't plan to rent it. You better find another place to live. Then, only then did Kent notice a noise outside the nearby door. It seems that the mean landlady has an argument with someone again. Realizing this, he smiled wryly and shook his head. Since Kent came to live in this apartment, he has heard this happen more than once. Even he himself had been picked on by the landlady because he came back too late, and if it weren't for the landlord's statement that the experience would not be refunded, and he just happened to be cash shy, Clark would have wanted to move out of here at that time. I don't know why she quarreled with others this time. When the mind got to this point, Kent suddenly became curious about the door and looked towards the door. Next second, he suddenly felt uncomfortable in his eyes, blinked slightly, but did not expect that when he opened his eyes again, he directly saw through the wall. I saw a yellow-skinned boy standing in the corridor outside through a door, talking to the landlady about renting a house. He wants to rent a room here. But Kent looked at the landlady's posture and did not seem to intend to do what the other party wanted.